What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to the sophomore season for Garrett Patterson's journey here as we're coming up to the line versus Georgia Tech. We've already scored one touchdown. That's the beginning of our second quarter right here. And we would find Chase Lofton right here for a big completion. He would spin out of a tackle and get us around the 20-yard line and take us to the 2-minute warning. On first and goal, just a couple plays later, we would find Chase Lofton again, and he is in the end zone to take a 13-0 lead here over Georgia Tech. Next time we touch the ball, we barely have any time left. So Garrett would roll out and find Chase Lofton wide open. Their defense is lost in the sauce here as he would get us past the 40-yard line. And we would call timeout. With 8 seconds left on 2nd and 10, we were gonna heave it deep. And this is what we do is we would hike the ball. Nobody get open. Well, we would drop it. Our wide receiver would drop it out of the backfield, and we would have to settle for a field goal. And they would miss the field goal. So here we have to get it up to the line, and we were already taking a sack. On 1st and 10, after another first down, we were looking for somebody to get open, and then Patterson would barely make this throw. It was a great catch. He would spin out of a tackle and get us past the 20-yard line before getting brought down. On 1st and 10, we would roll out left, and we would just take off, and Garrett Patterson would be stopped at the 1. On 1st and goal from the 1-yard line, Patterson would find Chase Lofton and barely connect with him for a touchdown for your Seminoles, and we would take a 20-7 lead here. First time we touched the ball in the fourth quarter, we would find and he was dotted up, and that is big completion to get us inside the 5. On 1st and goal here, Patterson would step up himself and get into the end zone, and that should just be the icing on the cake. And the next time we touch the ball, there's under 2 minutes left. And we would roll out left right here. And we would keep on rolling out. Nobody's up. We would find Y. And he would come down with this big play to put the tie. 3rd and 7 right here. This is the last play of the game, possibly. And Chase Lofton would come down with it. And that is how we would do it. We would win 28-7 versus Georgia Tech with 315 passing and 4 touchdowns. Craig Bender, a B report, asking us how we won 5 games in a row. We're crediting the team. This team is stacked, and we're ready to get in the next one. Our next game, speaking of which, is against North Carolina. On the road right here versus North Carolina on 1st and 10. We would step out of the pocket and throw it to be on a big completion right there to get us inside the 40. On 3rd and 10, Chase Lofton is wide open to get us inside the 20-yard line. On 1st and 10. We would stay in the pocket, then roll out left, then take off ourselves, juke move one guy, and we were in the end zone to take an early lead here versus North Carolina. We would get the ball back inside the red zone, and we were giving it to Chase Lofton, who would score right there. On 1st and 10, with barely any time left on the clock, Chase Lofton would break off this tackle and keep going. He's past the 40 and inside of the 35. With 14 seconds left, we were in field goal range and just barely outside the 10-yard line. We would look for somebody, and Chase Lofton would almost get intercepted. On 3rd and 7, we would roll out, waiting for someone to get open, and B would connect with us right here for a big touchdown. On 2nd and 10, the first time we touched the ball in the second half, we would throw it deep. He would come down with it at the 40-yard line. On 3rd and 10, we have to pick something up, and we would just barely connect with him, but it would be PI. And we would be able to keep this drive alive due to this pass interference. On 2nd and 9, inside the 15, Patterson would step up and score once again, and the legs are killing the Tar Heels. On 3rd and 9, 27-0, we miss a PAT. We would find Chase Lofton to get us inside the 10-yard line. And on 2nd and goal, we would stay in the pocket and then roll out left, and Garrett Patterson was gone for another touchdown to take a huge lead here. North Carolina would finally score, but it's too little too late here as we would find A, and he would get a big completion to get us inside the 40-yard line. On 1st and 10, we would find Lofton with a big completion with 3 guys on him. On 1st and goal, Chase Lofton is open once again, and we are reaching 277 yards passing. And that's how we'd end the game here. 277 yards passing, like I was talking about, and 6 touchdowns. Next game is a big one versus the Clemson Tigers. And here we go. Death Valley was already rumbling as soon as we came out. The first time we touched the ball here on 1st and 10, we would get flush out of the pocket left and throw it, and it's an interception because our receiver would not jump, and they would get set. It was great field position. On 1st and 10 now, we would let's hurry completion right there. 2nd and 8 now. We're looking for somebody in. Our running back out of the backfield would come in clutch to get us past the 20. On 2nd and 1, it was a read option, and Garrett Patterson would get there and slide, not wanting to fumble. On 1st and goal, we would have to pick something up, and we would just take off ourselves, and we were in the end zone. Garrett Patterson scored yet again. On 2nd and 10, barely any time left. We needed to get on the board here, and we would slide with 13 seconds left. We would get a field goal out of the drive, nothing more, and we would find our running back right here to start the second half with a big completion. On 2nd and 10, we have to pick something up, and Patterson was scrambling, and he was gone. Touchdown, and Florida State has their first lead of this big game versus Clemson. Clemson scored, and they got the onside kick and scored again. So now we have barely any time left. We have to get down and score, and Garrett Patterson was doing just that, juking 3 guys out and getting past the 50. 10 seconds left on 3rd and 3. Patterson would roll out. Patterson was going to take it himself, and he was down, and we would call a timeout with 6 seconds left inside the 5-yard line. Last chance right here versus the Clemson Tigers. 6 seconds left. Patterson would hike it. He would find Chase Lofton, but it's broken up. 2 seconds left. This is our last chance to win this game, and Patterson would find our receiver, Bibbs, for a touchdown. Overtime now. Patterson would step up. Patterson would slide just before the 10-yard line. Patterson now getting there. He'll roll out. He'll get there close to 1st and goal. It's 3rd and 1. We need to score right here, or at least get close to the end zone. And we would find Lofton. Touchdown, Florida State. They would only get a field goal, but a touchdown the first time is a field goal the second time. So we score with the touchdown, we win. Could we do that right here? Lofton would break out of his route, and he was getting inside the 10-yard line. On 2nd and goal from the 1. Can we do it? Patterson scrolls out, and he got it. He's in the end zone, throws the football to the crowd, and we have won versus Clemson in the biggest game of our career yet. Not including playoffs, but we choke in those anyways. It's fine. And we win. Next is a home game versus Duke. Pulling out the Seminole Heritage alternates, and man, let's go. The first time we touched the ball versus Duke, nobody's on Lofton. It's a big completion to get us inside the 40. On 1st and 10, after only getting a field goal the last drive, we would find a B, and he would come down with it with 2 guys on him. On 1st and 10, the next play, we would find Lofton, and he was inside the 20-yard line. On 1st and 10, Patterson would stay in the pocket before he got to somebody with 4 guys on him. Lofton couldn't pick it up this time. Next time we touched the ball, it's 3rd and 6 here. We'd roll out left, and we would find our end. On 1st and 10, here we would find Lofton, who would break a tackle, cut upfield, and get us around the 40-yard line. On 2nd and 12, we would bullet this one across the middle for Bibbs. On 1st and goal, we were getting into the end zone with a tight end, and we have a big lead here versus Duke. Up by 10 at the 2-minute warning. And we would find Lofton in the end zone, but we'd overthrow it. That's an interception. Defense comes up huge, and we still have that 10-point lead. And we would give it to our running back, who would find the end zone right here. And that would give us a 24-7 win here versus Duke. Chase Lofton telling us somebody right into our car, telling him thanks, but having an energy decrease. And this week we're going against Pitt. Here we go, starting on 2nd and 10. We'd roll out. You can move this guy and get around the 40-yard line before sliding. On 1st and 10 from inside the 20. Play action. We'd stay in the pocket. We'd find Lofton, who would come down within a guess was the 6-yard line. 1st and goal, we'd roll out, and we would jog our way to the end zone. Touchdown, Seminoles. Next time we touch the ball, on 2nd and 10, juke move this guy. Stay on our feet. On 2nd and 5, we'd roll out. Decided to take it ourselves and get inside the 5. In the very next play from the 7-yard line, we would find Chase Lofton in the end zone for a touchdown to take a 13-0 lead versus Pitt. After halftime, we would find Lofton again right here to get us inside the 20-yard line. On 1st and 10, the next play, we would outrun all these defenders before taking 3 guys to get us out of bounds. On the 3rd and 4, we would need to pick some up. We'd be flushed out, and we would go take it ourselves, and we were in the end zone once again. The last play before the 3rd quarter, Bibbs would go shrieking downfield, and he was gone. Touchdown. And that would do it. We would beat Pitt 28-10. Our next game is California on the road. First time we touch the ball versus California, we would roll out right, and we would find him over the top. He would come down with it. On 1st and 10, the very next play, we would roll out left, beat this guy, and we were off to the races for juking this defender, and we were in the end zone. On 1st and 10, the next time we touched the ball, we'd roll out. We'd find Lofton, who would get us inside the 15-yard line at the end of the 1st quarter. On 3rd and 2 to end the drive, I knew I wanted to get in this cream area, I would, and we would hurdle this defender before getting into the end zone. Touchdown. 2nd and 7, the next drive, we would find our running back out of the backfield, and he was getting us past the 40-yard line, and they call timeout here. If we score right here, this could end the game. We would find in Lofton, he would get past all these guys, and he was inside the 15-yard line with 2 minutes left. 3rd and 6, we score here. The game is over. We're getting flushed out right, and we're packed past the 45. We chunk it to B, who was open, and we catch it, but he dropped it after getting hit, and maybe our defense could hold on. Or our defense would hold on. We would win 17-12. Our defense really helped us that game, as we had 1 interception and 2 touchdowns. Now it's time for our last road game of the season versus the Syracuse Orange. I'll be honest, this game was really boring. And here, this is our only big play, and then the rest of them was just touchdowns. Because right here, Garrett Patterson getting off 3 guys, that's touchdown number 1. Touchdown number 2 is a streak, and he was gone with his big blur touchdown. That's touchdown number 3. And we got subbed out the rest of the game, so yeah. Now it's time to move on to this game versus Florida, the rivalry, the Sunshine State rivalry. Let's get into it. Biggest game yet since coming to Florida State. Can we win in the big rivalry versus number 10 ranked Florida? Hopping into this one versus Florida, we would roll out right to start the game, and we were taking off, saying hey to this defender and getting to the 45. On 1st and 10, the next play, we'd roll out left, and we would find Bibbs, who would get us to about the 25. On 2nd and 1, we would take off ourselves, and Garrett Patterson would slide at 5. 1st and goal, we have to get in here, and we would because of Chase Lofton. 1st and 10 next time we touch the ball, and we would find Chase Lofton once again, who would get us around the 50-yard line. 1st and 10 here, last play for the 2-minute warning. We would find RB, who was deep in coverage, and nobody would get to him. And it would be 1st and 10 from inside the 15 here. On 2nd and 6, we would take off, and Garrett Patterson would find his way to the end zone. 20 seconds left. We probably won score, but I don't know if we could. Here, Patterson would find Lofton after almost taking off. We would get a field goal out of that drive, and now it's 1st and 10. We'd roll out left, and we would chunk it deep, but it's intercepted because we got hit, and that would give Florida great field position. They would only get a field goal out of it, so we would roll out left right here. No, we have to get something with this drive, and Chase Lofton would come out with it. On 2nd 2, after getting a bunch of first downs, we would jimmy with this guy, and we would keep the chains moving. 1 minute left. Do we get into the end zone right here? Patterson would take off just from right here, and he was in the end zone. Touchdown, Seminoles. And that would do it. We have beat the Florida Gators 24-20 in the Sunshine Showdown. And Mary Porter telling us we need to study. Lord, not after that game. But we would, though. And coming in at the end of this episode, we got an ACC championship invite versus Clemson. All right, everybody. Hope y'all enjoyed the sophomore season, regular season. Our verse of the day is Psalms 105:1. Remember, keep God first, everybody. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. See y'all in the next one. Peace.